Hi there, I'm Tom. Welcome to the next match in the 2025 Medium Espresso Burrnament. For those of you who don't know what a Burrnament is, where have you been all my life? Must have been in a cave. I've been pumping these things out like a machine gun over the last couple of weeks. 16 64mm flat grinders, for the most part, are going head-to-head in a Burrnament. Think of it a little bit like a tennis tournament where you have knockout matches all the way through. In this case, we've got the 16 original grinders lying down here, and we've already got some quarterfinalists. Let me show you, let me zoom in on that a little bit. We'll show you that we've got quarterfinalists at the VS6 Supernova Flat versus DF64, the first quarterfinal. Option-O Mizzen versus Mazda Super Jolly 033M burrs. SSP or Espresso burr is going to go head-to-head in the third quarterfinal with the winner of today's match, the Italmill burr, which is the stock burr in the DF64 Gen 1, amongst other grinders, but a very popular, very common burr, and that's going up against the DF64V DFDLC burr in match 6. Let's rock and roll. So here are the two grinders in question. DF64 Gen 1, I should say, with the stock Italmill burrs versus the later and greater DF64V with the DF diamond-like carbon coated burrs. For those of you who are new around here, we've had 5 baristas together for a day with these 16 grinders. All 16 grinders have been purchased. Ouch. They have been seasoned. A lot of work. They have been aligned and they have been dialed in before the baristas arrived so that on the day we have as many variables as possible equalized other than the 3 baristas. Each barista has had to undergo a little bit of training to make sure they knew how to do blind taste testing, and before them was presented the proprietary log, which you can download, by the way, from tomsgrinderlab.com, amongst other cool free stuff. And each of them has a lazy Susan with a spit glass and a bit of water in the other glass, and labeled underneath as a cup. So they do the pours in the 2 simultaneous decent espresso machines, one from, in this case, the DF64 original stock burr, Italmill burr, and the other from the DF64 DLC burr. Now, they don't know which one is which when it goes onto the lazy Susan, which they're given with a pen and a log sheet, and they go off and they do their blind taste testing, they make all their notes. Once they've decided who the winner is and what the differences are between the two, then they flip the cups over and find which burr was the winner. So it's all blind taste testing, at least 3 baristas for each match. A lot of work, as I always say, so please do subscribe and make sure you share this with your heavily caffeinated friends or those people who are interested in purchasing a new grinder. It's probably not a bad experience for all of us to understand the subtleties and the nuances that do exist between one burr set and another burr set. And just a reminder, this is 90% about the burr set. Sure, a grinder can make a bit of a difference. It's a grinder that's well manufactured and not going to go out of alignment. It can make a little bit of a difference with variable RPM or slow feeding, all of these things. But 90% of the taste in the cup is going to come from the beans, how well they're roasted, and what the burr set has done in terms of extraction. Not just volume of extraction, because you can have 2 grinders that extract the same percentage, dissolve that into the cup, could be exactly the same percentage, but they can taste completely different because it's not the quantity that they've extracted, but it's the quality or the differentiation. So that's what the Burrnament is all about. It's all about finding out which burr set rules the roost when it comes to medium espresso within the context of the 3 baristas that were involved in each of these matches. So remember, important to bear in mind that context, because it doesn't mean that any single one of these grinders is better or worse than the other. It just means that on the day, with these particular beans, with these particular baristas, that was the result. You may prefer another one, but still, for someone who's purchasing a grinder, it might be a healthy guide. So these are the 2 grinders that are duking it out. Let's go and have a look and see what the baristas thought of each one. This is from Daniel, and he declared the DF64V with the DLC coated burrs the winner. I do have some extra notes for you on what Daniel preferred when I come through the summary. This is my tasting sheet. This is the first tasting sheet that I was involved in, the first blind taste test that I was involved in. I'm doing the supervising all day, but someone needed a rest, so I stepped in. For me, a blind taste test, I prefer the Italmill. And be sure to check out the logs here. You can see that I've noted that the winner, the Italmill, had a bit more acidity. I regarded the clarity as similar, a bit more sweetness and a slightly better finish. So overall, I prefer the Italmill, but I had a note. not a big fan of either. So not exactly high praise, but that was my decision, the Italmill. So split decision so far, with one barista going for the Italmill burrs, the other one, that's me by the way, the other one going for the DF DLC burrs. So the final vote comes down to Christoph, who said he preferred the DF64V. His tasting notes: both have a little acidity, similar taste, dark chocolate, slightly bitter. DF64V, more clarity and better finish. Always commenting on the finish is our Christoph. So the winner therefore, and this is the summary sheet here, is therefore has to be the DF DLC, even though it wasn't my preferred burr. I got outvoted 2-1. I think it's fair to say that for every one of the baristas here, there wasn't a whole lot in it, that they both produce a similar style of espresso. And I would guess that if you did this on any other day with the same 3 baristas, you could just as well end up with a reverse of the winners. But the DF DLC is a very popular burr. From my personal experience, I think it's really one of the best burr sets for anyone who wants full-bodied flavor if you're going to add milk, because it produces such a strong flavor, it's able to punch through that milk. It's not my favorite burr for a light bean, light roasted bean, but I do think it pretty much rules the roost when it comes to anything from medium and darker, especially when you want to add milk to it. So there's my thoughts, but the winner on the day was not my pick for medium roast espresso. It was in fact the DF64V with the DF DLC diamond light carbon coated burrs. So that brings us to the updated sheet, and you can see that the DF64 DFDLC will be taking on the SSPHU Espresso burrs in the 3rd quarterfinal, which will bring us then to match 7, which is going to be between one of my favorite grinders. Not that I get to do the blind tasting with this one, but one of my favorite grinders, the WPM ZP1 with the excellent Kerber, Italian Kerber burrs, 64mm flat, against the Gorilla Gear 64mm flat burrs. Gorilla Gear are an aftermarket burr, a bit like SSP, that are provided to fit into other grinders. So it's going to be a very interesting one for me, because I like both of those burrs. ZP1 Kerber burrs in the WPM ZP1 versus the Gorilla Gear burrs. Until then, make sure you hop over to Tom's Grinder Lab, download all of the logs, the templates for free that we've been using during the Burrnament, and also while you're there, grab a copy of the Espresso Troubleshooting and Optimization Guide, and be sure you're back again in 3 days' time for the next match, which is going to be published. Until then, stay caffeinated, enjoy your coffee. Cheers.